When they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you truly love me more than these?" This resurrection appearance of Jesus, the third time now that Jesus in his glory has appeared to the disciples. And there's kind of a perfect symmetry and circle happening here. That Jesus, who met many of these men for the very first time there on the seashore while they were fishing, he appears to them again on the seashore while they're fishing. He speaks to them. Miraculous things happen. They recognize who he is through the breaking of the bread. Then he goes to the side and has this moment with Peter. And you have probably heard sermons in the past talking about this moment that he has with Peter. And juxtaposing the 3 times that Jesus says, "Simon Peter, do you love me?" with the 3 times that Peter had denied that he even knew Jesus in the first place. That there, the drama of Maundy Thursday, as the passion is being worked out and Jesus is being arrested and taken away to a crooked trial, the 3 times Peter has the chance to say, "I'm one of them guys. I stand with him. That's my friend. That's my Lord. He's the guy I love. Yes, you have identified me correctly." Peter each time says, "Not me. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never seen that guy before in my life." And Peter chooses to save his own skin rather than stand with the man that he loves. 3 times he denies Jesus, and so 3 times we see the resurrected Jesus ask Peter, "Do you love me?" And how can you not see a parallel there? How can you not see a connection there? Just like Jesus meets them on the seashore while they're fishing. Now he comes resurrected on the seashore while they're fishing. 3 times he asked Peter, "Do you love me?" For the 3 times that Peter had denied Christ at the moment of crisis. And like I said, you've probably heard sermons about this, giving Peter a chance to be reconciled, to reaffirm his love for the Lord. And I think that is appropriate and true. But I think there is something else here as well, because this being the 3rd Sunday of the Easter season, we are experiencing firsthand how the intro video began the service. Lent took 40 days, 40 nights of our lives. Days and nights of discipline, of sacrifice, of giving up, of taking on, of preparation, being ready. And Easter says, "I'm going to do you one better." Not just 40 days, but 50. The great 50 days of Easter that stretches from that first Easter morning all the way to Pentecost. That what happens on Easter morning is so significant. It is so powerful. It is so miraculous. It has changed everything. And as significant as Lent was, this is even better. As powerful as that time of preparation was, this is even greater. For this is the pivot point and moment of all of human history and of all of creation. The death itself has been beaten and conquered. God so loved the world that he would send his Son, who would die for our sakes, but now be raised again, never to die, in eternal glory. That everyone who would call him Lord, everyone who would turn their hearts and their lives to him, everyone who would seek his face, the love of Jesus, the grave would not have a hold on them. It wouldn't be able to hold them any longer than it held Jesus himself. It's that 3rd day Easter morning that has changed all of human history and changed even our lives. And we have this being worked out here on Give Thanks. Can you imagine the rest of Peter's life without this moment? That he's going to carry that guilt and that shame until the day he dies. That in the moment of decision, I blinked. I turned away. I knew he was there and I turned my back on him. And what happens here is not just reconciliation. This is redemption. The resurrected Christ, who offers redemption to all the world, to everyone who would call upon him, gives Peter that same opportunity to say, do you love me, Peter? Do you love me, Peter? Peter, do you love me? Not just reconciling Peter turning away from Christ on Monday, Thursday, but taking those same three denials and transforming them and redeeming them to now no longer point to his own guilt and shame, but to point to the power and grace of Christ. Jesus doesn't make a magic wand wave and have that moment disappear. He redeems it. Peter will never forget his denial, but no longer is that a burden and chain around him to drag him down every day to think, this is how I screwed up, this is how I messed up, this is how I let him down, this is how I turned my back. Never again. The Lord has transformed that moment, and now even his denial points to the grace of Christ. Even Peter's greatest shame now points to God's greatest glory. What he offers to Peter, he offers to everyone. For God so loved the world. Even our shame, even our guilt, even those things that we keep deep within our hearts and we don't even want to acknowledge, those things that we hope nobody knows about us, those things we wish we could forget about ourselves. No longer chains, no longer weights, no longer a burden. For those who would call upon the name of Christ, even those might be redeemed. To point not to just our own sufferings and failings, to not only point to our own hurts and loss, to point to his forgiveness, point to his grace, point to his love and his mercy and his glory. That's the good news of Easter. That is the good news of the gospel. That is why it is worth remembering and celebrating for these great 50 days of this Easter season. It is why it is worth remembering and celebrating every day of our mortal lives. And how does Jesus conclude this moment with Peter? It starts on a seashore fishing, just like when he met him. And how does he finish? Follow me. Just like that first time we met him. His hurt, his loss, his sin has been redeemed. And now he's given something to do. Not just pie in the sky and the by and by, but right here, right now, feed my sheep. Care for my flock. Love my lambs. Every day, follow me. It is the call to Peter, it is the call to all of us Christians that we would follow him. Not just eternally and existentially, but daily. That's why in our first reading from the book of Acts, before we were called Christians, how are we referred to? All of those who love the Lord and acknowledge Christ as Savior, they were the people of the way. Did you catch that? The people of the way. But there was something about your love and devotion to Christ that made a difference in your daily life, that you were following him. Where he went, you went. What he did, you did. You didn't stay where you were. You went and you left. And you followed him. You followed the path. You followed the direction. You followed the method. You followed the way, for he himself is the way, the truth, the life. That's how we were referred to. The people of the way. Because we were going to follow him day to day, moment to moment, action by action. So we have bookended in our first reading and our gospel reading this sort of daily commitment to our lives. That if we truly love the Lord, we ought to be following him. It ought to change us and shape us and have us point to what we ought to be doing day in and day out, and yet our middle reading also pulls us out of the day-to-day and into the eternal. That Easter is this greatest pivot point, changing moment of our entire lives and of all human history, because it is impacting our day-to-day, and it is also impacting our eternal destiny. And that's what we see in the book of Revelation. That the Lamb, God's Passover Lamb, whose blood was shed so that death would pass over us not just for one night, but forever, he is the Lamb upon the throne. And it is Christ himself who is worthy. Riches and praise and honor and glory, worshipped and adored by angels and archangels and apostles and martyrs and all those folks like that, and all those folks like us. Every tribe, language, nation, tongue. Those still standing on the earth and those buried underneath. You hear of every knee bowing and every tongue confessing, this is the moment. Because of Easter. Because he has been raised from the dead. He is worthy to sit upon the throne. He is worthy of our praise, following him day to day in our lives, and joining our voices with angels and archangels and all the company of heaven, and offering him eternal praise. Again, again, and again, forever and ever and ever. Amen. We're 2 weeks past Easter morning and all of the candy and the eggs and the lights and the bells and everything else. And nothing has changed because everything has changed. Because of that first Easter morning, everything has changed. Therefore, what we do on this Sunday is no smaller or less important than what we did 2 Sundays ago. To be frank, that's why we're here on a Sunday and not on a Saturday. Never had that explained. That's why we don't worship on the Sabbath. We worship on the Lord's Day. For this is the first day of the new creation, Sunday. As he is raised from the tomb, never to die again, everything has been impacted. Everything has been transformed. Everything has been changed. And he who is the first fruits of the new creation offers to the world and offers to us the redemption of the hope to take that pain, to take that wrong that we have done and the wrong done to us, and offer it back to him in love that it might be redeemed, pointing no longer to our own loss and shame, but pointing to his goodness, his grace, his mercy, his love, and his power. Everything changes because of that. Worth remembering for 50 days, worth remembering for 50 years, worth remembering every moment in this mortal life and in the life to come. This is the good news of the gospel. This is the good news of Christ. You received bad news during the week. Our friend and former maintenance man, Vic Hearn, after suffering for so long, for a long time in secret, he wouldn't tell us. And then out in the open, he passed away during the week. And it's strange to think he's not going to come wandering back up to the office. It's strange to think he's not going to go tooling around in that golf cart. It's strange to think he's not going to be working in the Memorial Garden, or he's not going to show up here on some random Sunday morning, and never again in this mortal life will we see that noble grave. And yet, that's why I gave the Easter sermon that I did. That God keeps his promises. And on Easter morning, that great and most miraculous of promises, the Lord would redeem what we have broken, redeem our own lives, and the grave would not be the end, is a promise that he makes those people that I talked about on Sunday, those whom we know and love, those whom we miss, friends, family members, those who sat next to us in pews or in chairs on a Sunday morning. God's promise is good to them. God's promise will be good to all of those who would put their trust in him. And God's promise is good to fit. though we may not see him or our loved ones in this mortal life. That is the gospel. That is the good news. The grave is not the end. Our own sin and theirs, not just made to disappear in the wave of magic wand, but redeemed, made whole, new, glorious, not to point to our own suffering, but through that moment, pointing to the everlasting graciousness and glory of God. When I say everything changed, I mean 2,000 years the world has been wrestling with the enormity of what this means. That on Easter morning everything has changed. Everything has changed. You want to reject it? You want to pretend like it never happened? You want to not believe or not follow the Lord? Good luck. But it's still happening. And even those who would try to deny it can't make it not occur. They have to say, that thing is not for me. They want to try to turn their lives away from the Lord, but they can't make it have never occurred. They can stand in opposition to it. But the truth of the resurrection has so transformed human history that never again can we act like we don't know, or it makes no difference, or that it never happened. The greatest achievements of human effort have gone to wrestle with this, to point to this, to glorify this. Our greatest art, most stunning portraits, magnificent sculptures, amazing architecture, glorious music, they have pointed to this truth. They have pointed to this moment that has transformed us and the world irrevocably forever. And it's why it's worth celebrating for 50 days. It's why it's worth celebrating for 50 years. For every moment of our mortal lives, for there will come a moment that will stretch on into eternity, where we will praise right along with the angels and the archangels, offer the praise and adoration of the Lamb forever and ever and ever. Yet in this mortal life, it ought to demand of us, our daily life, that we would follow him day to day, moment by moment, decision by decision. We ought to look and be prepared for that time when we might glorify him for all eternity. I mentioned that the greatest of human effort and achievement has gone to point to this, to wrestle, to struggle with it, to desire and long for it. I have been listening to this song again and again and again for the entire week. And I want to offer it to you this morning. I don't tend to do stuff like this, but this one I think is worth it. A little over 100 years old, but the crowning achievement of Gustav Mahler. And I hope it's loud. I can't really tell by the soundboard because you just can't play Mahler soft. You got to crank it. Over an hour and a half, his second symphony plays. Over an hour and a half, it covers these themes of loss and death, as though at the funeral of a friend, and remembering life together, and then struggling and hoping that there's something beyond the grave. And finally, after an hour and a half, after something larger than a full orchestra, after 3 choirs all come together, this is how his second symphony, the Resurrection Symphony, ends. With the music we'll listen to, with the words that I will offer.